everyone. This is Henny Espinosa from Just Wish Foundation. I'm so honored today that we are joined by a motorcycle racer who simply refuses to give up no matter the challenges that he's facing, from physical disability to a fire that destroyed his equipment. He simply won't give up. And with the community rooting for him, the goal is to win the world's deadliest race. So thank you so much for joining us from the UK, Chris Ganley. Chris?
You're right. How you doing?
Good, good. How's everything?
Yeah.
How's everything
Can you hear me?
there?
Yeah. Yeah, not too bad. Just doing the normal day today. Yeah.
So let's talk about the normal day today for you. What's a normal? It's evening now in the UK. It's morning here in San Francisco. What's a normal day today like for you?
So I became a motorcycle instructor on the roads. So I teach day to day how to ride bikes, and then on the weekends I spend my time going off and racing super bikes and super sports.
So would you say there is not a week that you don't do anything not dangerous? Is this like is there,
not
you always
really.
have that spirit,
Yeah.
that like daredevil spirit?
Well, it all goes back to when I was in the army. I think I did 10, 12 years in the army. When my injuries happened, I knew I was going to lose it, and all I ever wanted to do was stay in the army.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of just forced me into the biking a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I just ended up using the biking to basically recover me, and I've slowly got better and better and faster as I've gone along. So it's kind of just been my therapy for me, to be honest.
So let's talk about let's go back a little bit, since you're talking about the army, talking a little bit about your background. Tell us a little bit kind of your background in the UK, your childhood, your upbringing before you joined the army.
Okay. Well, to be honest, I always wanted to join the army ever since I was a kid. So I went through school, did my normal schooling, and so I joined the army at 17. I ended up in the regiment called the Royal Gloucestershire Berkshire Wiltshire Regiment, which then changed into the Rifles, which a lot of people now know of it. So I was infantry, frontline soldier. And I basically did that from when I was 17 up until I was injured, which was my 25th birthday.
By the way, thank you for your service, and I'm sure it must be tough to be out there, especially when you're faced with that scenario that, like you said, you were injured. So tell us about that moment, that injury that kind of changed the course of your life.
Believe it or not, it wasn't while I was in Afghanistan. I had an injury back in the UK, and I had it was an accident on a motorbike, of all things, and it was just over 30 mile an hour. So do you guys use mile per hour out in the States, or is it kilometers?
Miles.
No, okay, so it was just literally just over 30 mile an hour. And I just happened to hit everything all at the right place at the right time, and I woke up a week later. So it's quite a bit of a strange one, because you would expect it to be a war injury.
So when you woke up, what did you discover at that point? Then that's when you knew that you lost your arm?
Yeah, my right arm was severely injured. So when I woke up out of a coma, my arm was up in a cast, hanging on a stand, and I was trying to get it down, and it wouldn't come down. So I tried to use my left arm to pull my arm down, and then realised my arm wasn't there. So I had one arm completely in a cast up to my armpit, and then realised my other arm wasn't there, and that was my wake up out of a coma.
Wow, at that moment.
But I did quite a few other injuries as well.
But when you saw that, Chris, what was going through your mind when you realized that you just lost your right arm?
It is my left arm, and to be honest, it was a shock, but it was kind of like, meh, oh well, gotta get on with it. At the same time. I mean, I think because I was, even while I was in hospital, I don't really take to it. I don't know, it was only when I got home from hospital that I ended up trying to go and use my back gate, and it had 2 locks on it. And I always used my right arm for the top lock and my left arm for the lower lock. And that was the only time where I actually realised properly that I was missing my arm. And that was when I finally broke down. And then, so it was only weeks after the accident that I actually really got affected by it. So, which is bizarre.
Did you realize did you think at that point that my life is over? Or did you feel like you couldn't do the things that you are passionate about, including racing? Or were you like, no, I will make this work?
It was literally a week after I came out of my coma while I was still in hospital. I already came up with a way of being able to ride again.
Oh,
and yeah, so even before I left hospital, I was already hell bent on trying the bike again.
Wow.
I spoke with a guy from the UK who races with one arm and one leg, and he showed me his adaptions, which were the adaptions that I came up with. So I knew it would work. And after seeing him riding with one arm and one leg, I was like, well, I got no excuse. I'm kind of like a scratch compared to him.
Where do you get that fighting spirit, Chris? Have you always had that as a kid, or did you draw inspiration from, other people, or have you always been such a fighter?
Pretty much, I think I always have been. It's never, I don't know, and I think where I've always just got on with things, even when I was in the army, it just flourished it a bit more, I suppose. And there's a few expressions in the army that we use that I've just always stuck by, and one of them's no plan survives first contact. So no matter how much you plan for what you're gonna do, as soon as that actually happens, the kind of the plan goes out the window, and then you've got to hope to work your way around it. So, and that's all I did with this. So,
tell us about kind of your initial challenges when you were still trying to get used to having one arm and trying to, I guess, how would you describe like your first months or the first moments when you started riding again, started racing again, and you have this physical disability?
It was, I don't know, because I came out of hospital, I think 3.5 weeks after the accident happened, and I got told that I was meant to be in for 6 months. So I had a week in a coma, and I was out within 2.5 weeks after the coma. And they booked me into Headley Court, which is the Army Rehabilitation Centre for the military. And so I had 3 weeks at home after just coming out of hospital to go to rehabilitation. And I used that 3 weeks to try and work out what I was doing. And the adjustment to it was actually quite difficult. I found that when I went out, people were staring at me. And no matter where I went, I found it quite hard because people were staring. So, and I couldn't get my head around it. And I felt quite anxious of leaving the house. And I started getting worried about leaving the house. And I basically ended up staying in after that. And it took quite a few months to get over going back out again. Doing tasks and things with writing and things alike, I never really paid that much attention to it. I just found it was more the physical look of me I really struggled to get over. And yeah, I used just basically even when I came home, I used motorbikes as my rehabilitation. And trying to use spanners and screwdrivers and everything else. I stripped and rebuilt my bike. I took the engine out of my bike, put it back in one-handed, and refitted everything into the bike, all one-handed, and I found that I could still do it. So I didn't actually find many limitations at that point. So yeah, I just found it more the physical looks of me against other people looking. That's what I struggled with.
So let's talk about when you actually started racing with one arm with a new bike. Tell us about that first moment when you went out to the racetrack.
So my first ever race that I turned up to ended up being on a track that I've never been to before, so I didn't know it. I didn't realize what level I was about to get into until afterwards, and I went out to qualify on a track I didn't know with people called the GP1 Elites, and I have never been so scared in my life. I literally made one lap, came back in, and was ready to go home. I've genuinely never been so scared. Yeah. So it was the army team, because I used to be in the army motorcycle racing team. They came over and basically explained to me that the level that I was racing at for my first ever race was probably way out my limit. But they convinced me to go back out again and just go on your first race and get over and done with. Because they said, with the way that you're feeling, if you don't go back out, you will never go out again. So
conquer that fear. Yeah.
So I went out, obviously not a bit, well, I say a bit scared. I was scared. I would prefer to go back to Afghan on my worst day again and do that again. Wow. But I went out, did the grid start, and then finished the race. And I ended up in third place.
Wow.
I don't know how. I even asked them how many people fell off. And they and that was the point where I got over the fear. And now I just needed to improve. And that's all I've been doing since, is just improving and improving. So
wow. Well, let's talk about the big goal for you, Chris, which is the world's deadliest race. Oh my gosh, can you tell me about it? What makes it so deadly? Why is it such a big dream of yours?
So the Isle of Man TT, it is one of the most fantastic circuits you'll ever go to. It's absolutely beautiful. So my incentive has come from when I was in the army team. I was about to start racing for them on track, on circuit, and I never got the chance. And a couple of my friends went out to the Manx GP, which is the Isle of Man course, but just the classic TT as well as the Manx GP. So it's the smaller bikes, but not up. So anything up to 600s, not the super bikes, which is 1,000 cc's. And I saw the Isle of Man I saw the Isle of Man Manx GP, and my friends going around on it, and just watching it is just another level, absolute another level. And I even said when I was, back when I had both arms, I even said, this is where I want to be going. If I was going to go somewhere, this is where I want to end up. And after my injuries, I used that as my goal, because I realized I could still try it. I found only limitations are ones you give yourself. And there's another expression I live by. It's a Japanese guy, I can't think of his name, but he said, nothing is impossible, you haven't figured it out yet. And I've given myself this impossible dream, but it's only impossible because I haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah.
And
it's true.
And at the moment, this year, I've stepped up to a national level of racing, which is the professional racing class, which, if I'm honest, I didn't think I'd ever be able to make it to. but I'm now in professional racing, going against the fastest racers of the UK, and a lot of them actually race the Isle of Man as well, which means that if I can start holding on to them on the race circuit, I just now got to do that on the road circuits.
Mm-hmm.
But my dream has always been there, even before my injuries.
Mm-hmm. Why is it so deadly, Chris? Like, kind of explain to us why this race is so dangerous.
So it's, well, especially in the UK, our roads are a little bit more narrow than the US. You were tanking along on the bikes down roads which are like 15-foot wide, with lampposts, brick walls, houses, bridges, just normal road tarmacs, and you're trying to see how fast you can go down these little roads.
Mm-hmm.
And see how late you can break into the turns and everything else. And every year, without fail, people pass away there. This year there was 5, and rest in peace to the lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's always deaths every year.
Let's talk about another setback that you had, and this was the fire at the school where you are teaching. Tell us, what the impact was on you and your racing.
So what it was the college was actually sponsoring me. So they were getting the students to do all the work on the bike in between races. I had my race R1 down there with all my spares, all my kit. I had another bike down there which I ended up building for triple amputees. So it meant that if you had one arm, you could ride a bike. And it was a very, very bespoke bike, only one in the world. And that went up in the fire. I had an SV650 down there, which again is another bike that I was considering about racing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was down there. And I lost everything all in the space of a couple of hours.
Mm-hmm.
It was an arson attack, so some lads attacked the college, and all my race kit was a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was I'm still trying to work out why and the extent of everything that I lost. It was basically my life's work at that point all gone up in flames.
Wow.
But basically I ended up using my old road bike to race, and I had 5 weeks to get it ready. So basically I lost everything, but I put it up on a crowdfund to get some money in to try and get racing, just get back on the track. And the kindness of people, I ended up with £10,000 within a week of putting up the crowdfund. So I got a bike running for last year, and yeah, it was lucky, very lucky, and I can't thank the people that helped me out enough.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't from the kindness of people, to be honest.
Were you how did you feel when you knew that you weren't alone in this journey? People are rooting for you to win, to move forward. Even strangers, I would think, right?
Yeah.
How did you feel about
it? I was overwhelmed. I didn't ever think anyone would even consider helping like me, because I've never really asked for help, and I always thought, well, who would? And it was my friends that convinced me to make this crowdfund. And the response I got from it, it was so overwhelming. There's no words that I can actually put together to say how much it means to me. I didn't as I said, I don't know how to explain how much it meant to me, and how many people came out of nowhere that I didn't even know were watching, who want me to do what I want to do. and it's another drive. It has given me another drive, and it feels like I'm doing it for them as well now.
Let's talk about kind of you also paying it forward. I understand that you also want to create a bike so that or modify a bike so that other people with disabilities may learn how to ride. Tell us about that.
So because there was quite a few people over the time that I started racing, there were a few people that have come out of the basically sent me messages and asked me how they could do it. And I mean, I find that you got people that got told that they can't, they never will, don't even try. Whereas they've started seeing me and actually doing it. People have actually said, well, it's possible. So I've helped out quite a few people to get on bikes, and they've all had a very, very similar response. Some bike schools, they go, yeah, we'll take you on, but, and then other places will just go, well, you're disabled, so no, there's no point of you even trying. So I basically went off and decided to become a motorcycle instructor. So I'm the first ever, as far as I'm aware, I'm the first ever fully qualified motorcycle instructor to my level of disability. And I've done that so I can teach people who are in very similar positions to me to have a go. Because I find that motorbiking is my therapy, and a lot of people could use it as therapy as well. And I've been building bikes to try and get people to try them. So I've been building bikes for certain disability just so someone can have a go and find out if it is for them or not. And as I said, I became an instructor so I can teach them. So if they want to go and get their full license, I can take them through the whole training process as well.
I think you're more than an instructor to these people, Chris. You're an inspiration, and I think you don't really have to be a racer to be inspired by your story. And so that's why for me, even though we're thousands of miles away, and also for Mr. Jack Hu, who's our founder for Just Wish Foundation, we're just so inspired by your story that we wanted to give you some support through a monetary donation to make sure that you keep going with your dreams, conquering the world's deadliest race, among other things. But I feel like just your story of determination and never giving up, it gives people hope as well with whatever challenges that they're going through in life. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Thank you.
And thank you for sharing your story, Chris. Thank you. Good luck to you.
I'm gonna need it. Yeah.
Thank you.